Bill Henshaw again, your friendly local constitutional coop from California. And today's subject will be a little bit difficult to understand at first, but trust me, you send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and I will get through to you about what's going on with the current U.S. Supreme Court. And I had hoped to have had some better results in this term up to this point. There hasn't been anything rock solid great, mind you, but the situation is such that I'm now looking for three retirements on the court when the term ends in June, and that will include the Chief Justice Roberts and Justices Thomas and Alito. And those last two, by the way, are in my top 10 all time on the U.S. Supreme Court. And that must seem strikingly odd for a raging white supremacist to have Clarence Thomas among his top 10 justices, but there's extremely good reasons for that. But the big deal is that that court, and they know it as well as I do, has been complicit up until the last 5 years or so in not doing their job and letting this federal regional martial law rule, the 14th Amendment, take over almost every aspect of the lives of every American here. And that's what has to stop. So the big deal is what they want to do is retire now and have virtually almost 100% chance of Trump being able to get three appointments uh, almost simultaneously, which is unusual. But under these circumstances, it needs to happen because when the shit hits the fan with the magnitude of the issues that you're going to learn about and that I present, you need younger justices on the court that will survive, and they can do it, and they can do it easily if they know how to tell the American people and admit what they did. But tell them we've been acting like a judicial court for at least five or 6 years, and we're going to continue to do that. And that's what's going to get us all home safely and back to the federated Republican form of government of defined and limited powers and do away with today's much ballyhooed democracy. Ain't three wolves and two sheep holding on what's for dinner, aka today's elective despotism. And all of this will help you out, but it will also set a path to freedom for your children and your posterity, where they won't have to go through all this bullshit anymore. Because the judicial courts are going to be there, we're going to have a right from day one, and there's nothing that can be done about that unless the Constitution is amended properly. And that's never going to happen with this issue with trial by jury, which goes back, if you don't know, to the Magna Carta, crying out loud, 1215, 800 years. We want it back. That's the key ingredient to our getting our government back, our lives back, our rights back, you name it. It's that good. So that's why I'm looking for some retirements. And once that happens, when the next term opens in October, and actually the new appointees, if that's a quick process, the court can actually act, if you don't know, over the summertime when they're on quote unquote vacation, which is unusual, but they can do it. They won't be in their offices like they are in Washington, D.C., as usual, but they can act, and they have done it with the case of good old Sticky Dick, Richard Nixon back in the day. They held hearings in 1974, and they were going to impeach him and get him out of office, but he resigned before they could do it. So these new justices get in there. They could actually take some emergency cases over the summer and act. And I'm going to be encouraging them to do just that. We've waited long enough here, but now we have the magic window with those younger justices on the court and control of the Senate and control of the White House with President Trump. And I must say, and we'll be talking about this, there are some things he's doing. I'm not thrilled with the way he's doing them. But by and large, he knows exactly what I'm talking about here and why. And that's great news for all of us as we can finally get there and start our rights, especially with foreclosures and mortgages. I mean, you name it. Child separations like my friend's going through in the Midwest now. I mean, it just doesn't stop. They think they control every aspect of your life, virtually the exact opposite of what should be the case for the government in Washington, D.C. And in my view, especially in California, even the assembly up there doesn't have a lot of power if it has any at all. And you'll learn more about that in a different video too. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, as most of the government, particularly with education, needs to be on the local level, the county level and the city level, where parents can get seriously involved, the boards of education can get seriously involved and make meaningful and intelligent decisions about the curriculum they're going to be teaching here. Because once that happens, now you're going to have graduates coming out of, graduating from high school who are going to know that as jurors, they have the power to rule on the facts and the law and control government by doing it. And I'm sure none of you have ever heard that before. I sure as hell didn't 60 odd years ago in Washington, D.C. Like I say, much better education in many ways, but not this one. And that's what we have to get out there. We can take it over. We own the place. I mean, think about it, what those racist framers did by ordaining and establishing this Constitution to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And a quick word to Africans and Asians out there. No, you're not a member of the sovereign body politic of the nation and republic. And if you think that exists today, you're absolutely fucking crazy and dead wrong. If we get back to where we were, and the sovereign body politic is free, white, male, 21, no apologies, in that government, you're going to have enforceable rights virtually across the board. And now, when 8 of these law enforcement thugs go out like they did in Akron, Ohio, and fire 48 shots into the back, of Jalen Walker, and don't even get indicted for involuntary manslaughter when they should all be on death row. That's what's going to stop this stuff from happening because they don't want, the three of us, the Americans, the Asians, and Africans working together. Boy, if that ever happens, that really is going to make things change in a hurry. And it will because people have enforceable, creator endowed, inalienable rights. Ah, this bullshit. Equal protection of the law, due process. Give me a break. And by the way, those 8 law enforcement thugs, I bet you at least 5 or 6 of them were ex-military who can't these days tell the difference between Kabul, Afghanistan, and Kalamazoo, Michigan. That may be a job requirement for a law enforcement thug. It has nothing to do with peace officers, as you will learn. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. How important this information is to get out there. And once we do that and we start winning our cases and we have the window now to do it like we haven't had in, wow, close to 150 years, and you'll learn all that too. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And it's that exciting for me. Here I'm on the verge of my 77th birthday. Life is still ahead of me. That's how good it is. I just wish I had known this back in the day with high school. My life would have been different in that era. And instead, I was at the head of the class of ignorance. What did I do? Volunteer into the Vietnam War, at the height of the Tet offensive for crying out loud. But my dear mom, bless her heart, put a hex on the Marine Corps and said, "You're not going to get them." And my mom and dad take me over to Fort Holabird in Baltimore on the way to Parris Island. I never made it. Sergeant took one look at me and said, "If you lose your glasses, how will you know who you shoot?" Well, I know the right answer today, and I would have said no problem. Give me an M16, point me back down to Washington, D.C., the White House, landslide, Lyndon Johnson. I'll take care of it. Because for those of you that don't know, and I lived through all these horrific events in Dealey Plaza and the aftermath of the assassination of Kennedy on a Friday, the first thing this bastard does Monday morning is reverses his executive order taking us out of Vietnam and putting us back into it. There was never a war to be had there under any circumstance. Wow, that's American history. You learn a lot of that too by studying my materials, and working, with your own cases and helping your friends and family too. This is what's important, teaching your kids and your posterity so they don't have to go through this. And we can do that. We have a window of time that's unprecedented here for at least 150 years. It's all that's going together now. And if it continues to do that and we get a much younger Supreme Court, which, as I said in an earlier video, I'm anticipating, they'll be there for the next 15 years. So when the proverbial shit hits the fan, that court will survive. And if they know what they're doing, they can tell the American people why they're doing it. And the approval rating is going to shoot through the roof because we have rights, and that Supreme Court wants the other branches of government to start respecting it, for crying out loud. How good is that? To learn more, send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. Wow, it's hard to put it into words, and I was put here to do this. I don't know how I got this divine gift, but I have it. It's a lot more than memory, by the way. And as you can tell from these videos, I can recite it off the top of my head. Acapella expert witness on 230 years of the Constitution, history, and laws of the United States. I'll never be allowed to see a jury, not even in your case. But the reason for that is that the other side is going to rise up here and take care of business, make the case go away, and oh, by the way, get their checkbooks out while they're doing it. Because we can prove they're committing acts of treason to the Constitution. And that's the U.S. Supreme Court saying it in one of those damaged cases, except that the current justices know all about Cohen v. Virginia right now. And that's a lot of bargaining leverage. And that's going to make a lot of things go away. You won't even have to file. Well, you can't anyway. All they recognize today is 42 U.S.C. 1983, the Civil Fucking Rights Statute. Ain't doesn't count for anything. And that's the only remedy they think that birthright citizens have. That's it. And you rarely win one of those. I don't know if a pro se litigant has ever won one. Once in a while, they have to make it look good to be sure, but there's nothing there. And it was planned to be nothing there. You're going to learn all about that. Send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com, about the war between the states, Reconstruction, and the 14th and 15th War Amendments. And you're going to love what you're learning. It's going to change your life around just like it's done for me. And now we have a window to really do something about it and get some big paydays here. But the bottom line, people, this is the good part, is that if I ever am allowed to see a jury, and it isn't going to happen, the jury is going to know that I'm in it to help them, their families, and their posterity. They won't even have to go into the back room to deliberate. That's the good news. So we're there, and we're going to get basically a default judgment in our favor, one way or the other, the way things are going, and you'll learn a lot more about that by getting my modestly priced constitutional defense document packet. Send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. Learn all about it and exactly what's going on in Washington, D.C. I'm ahead of the curve with the current justices, and I will be with the same when the younger ones get in there too. That's a lot to look forward to. So that said, remember to subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we go about invoking our creator endowed and alienable rights secured by the Constitution, the quicker we get these bastards off our back. Thank you.